Hi, everyone. So, who's autistic this week? Nobody asked me. Well, it's still Chelsea Handler. Did anybody see her new Netflix special where she actually used the word spectrum? She said it one time that I heard, but she wasn't referring to herself. Um, you know, it's getting a little frustrating to hear people who, in my opinion, are clearly autistic, and it doesn't seem like they know it or that they were included in any way. They talk about it. They use words like spectrum and like autism and high support needs, but like they don't know they're autistic, and I'm so frustrated. I'm not going to say who I'm really frustrated about, the neuroscientist. I won't say her name because somebody still has not informed her. Hey, you're autistic. Um But she's getting closer, Chelsea Handler, because she said the word spectrum. Like, this bitch is totally autistic. But she's my favorite comedian, and her special was hilarious. I actually wonder when it was recorded because we saw Chelsea, I think it was last year we went to see her. And so a lot of the material, like, we saw in person. So I wonder if she was, like, doing any of the recordings, like, on that comedy tour of her show. But it was still fucking funny. I highly recommend it if you don't mind. Um, Well, if you don't know who Chelsea Handler is, I don't know what to tell you, but I think she's funny. So I have um, I watched the most recent episode of the US version of Survivor, and there's this person on there named Eve. Um, Now, don't take this the wrong way. Some of you may know who I'm talking about. Many of you probably don't, because I don't know that you can access US Survivor, just like we can't access Australian Survivor, even though I wish we could. Does anybody know a way? Like, does anybody know a way I can get a hold of some Australia Survivor? I think I've watched the first like few seasons. They had it on Paramount for like months and then it just disappeared and it hasn't been back, and I'm fucking sad. So, anyways, that I don't know why I said that. Um but this girl Eve, so I cringe when she says she has autism. That's just my personal feeling. I just want to be clear, like, I'm not saying anything about anybody. Well, I guess I am. Don't hold it against me. It's just my personal opinion. I cringe every time I hear somebody say, "Oh, I have autism," or "they have autism," because that's not something to catch. It's not something you get. It's you. So I can't help but cringe every time she says this a lot. Like, but anyways, I'm trying to look past that because she did something amazing. Like, she was on this challenge and she got really overwhelmed and frustrated, and it was up to her to win the challenge. Everything was like writing on like what she was going to be able to do. And so she later called them episodes where she gets really overwhelmed or overstimulated or something, and she explained what that was like. I'm sure, we all know, like, if anybody watched the episode and heard what she said, it probably sounds really familiar. And she won for her team. Sorry if I spoiled it for anybody, but you should have known to fast forward by now if you haven't seen the episode. But she won it for her team, and as soon as she did, she just started like bawling and scream crying, kind of. And in the past, I have seen autistic people like feel like that, and I have gotten so pissed off when I would see other people around that person giving them weird looks or rolling their eyes, or all of those other things that many of us have had to endure throughout our lives. um so I tried to keep my eyes on the screen the majority of the time because I didn't want to just get thrown into a rage, because it doesn't take much these days for stuff like that. But I was pleasantly surprised, and one of the guys that was on the other team, he kept staring at her, and I must have missed that they had some sort of connection because I thought he was like glaring at her, like, "What's wrong with this bitch?" But then, like, he went over and gave her a hug, and there was this whole process that they did where he helped calm her down. Um, like he hugged her, held her hands, said nice things to her. I was so happy to see that. Um, I was so happy because like every time I'm seeing moments like this on TV where somebody is autistic and, their autism is on kind of full display because, like when we get excited, we get excited. When we get pissed, we get pissed. Like, um, it's very noticeable. And I can't, like, I can't believe the support that she got. And by the way, I said this before, but I firmly believe that the majority of people who play these competition reality shows or whatever, are autistic. Because if anybody's watching this season in the US, like many of them are autistic. And it seems like only one knows about it. um, but I cried when I saw that happen. I was like, "Oh my God." And then the people around her, like, yeah, maybe they were thinking things in their head, like who knows? But they outwardly were supporting her. They talked to her afterward. Um, her sharing that she's autistic inspired other people. Like it was just really, really nice. And in my opinion, it was a lot of time spent on autism, like somebody who's autistic, who's dealing with a thing and is trying to explain what that thing is. Like I couldn't have imagined it going any better for her. Like it just, I don't know. That was so nice to see. So nice. And it makes me have some hope. Like, I don't know about this country. I mean, we've made strides, but this country's terrible right now. But like my hope is that there's more and more of this and that like in my lifetime I can sit down and like watch a show and it's just normal that there's autistic people talking about autism and experiencing their experiences and not being judged or shamed for them. Like that is what I hope to see in my lifetime because remember, I am a connoisseur of TV. I don't know if I used that word correctly, but so I just wanted to say that that was really nice. You might be able to find it on like YouTube or something. Who knows? It was just a nice moment. And speaking of autistic people, one of the little gremlins over on Alicia's side of the family is going to come visit tomorrow and Saturday. And thank goodness they don't know about podcasts and don't like just thank goodness because I wouldn't want them to overhear me. I wouldn't want them to hear me say this, but like Madeline's coming. She's like I forgot her age already. 11 or something, I think. She's the one that's due next for a visit and between her and Bella is the older one, 15, I think. Madeline is I don't want to say that. Well, I am going to say it. She's a lot. Um I hope you didn't roll your eyes when I said that because I don't mean it in the way that it sounds. I am just I don't have very much bandwidth to deal with a kid this weekend. I hope that doesn't sound terrible, but like there's a reason why we don't have children because we just can't do it. Um, but like this visit was on the schedule for a few weeks and we're going through with it because Alicia definitely is going to. And like, I know that I can't we told the kid that she could come, so he can't tell her no. Um, but I don't know how much bandwidth I have for her because she's the one that was like in the kitchen standing behind me in the middle of the night, like when I was getting a snack and she was wide the fuck awake and wanted to talk. And I can't do it. I'm sorry. Like I commend you parents out there that have children and you're made for kids, I guess. I'm not. Um, because it does come down to also my time being taken from me and when I don't want it to be. And like it's hard like figuring out how that works when it's a child because I am not going to let her know or show that like I really don't want her here. I'm just being honest. And I'm gonna probably have to mask a little bit, but I'm hoping that like maybe like it'll be like the last time she came, because this is only her second visit, um where I was like kind of dreading it, but it wasn't so bad, so we'll see. But I told Alicia, or yeah, I was like, I really enjoy Bella because Bella just does what we do, which is nothing. I mean, as long as she sits down and she's just very chill and likes to keep to herself, and Madeline's the other kind of autistic. So, uh, does that make sense? Oh, so anyways, I was talking to Alicia about Madeline, and I told her, okay, I'm just gonna admit something. This is probably not something I should have done, but I did it anyway. So like Madeline likes to just call me like randomly, and the times that I have answered, she's just very bored and wants to keep talking about anything. And I don't know how to end conversations with kids without lying and saying I have to go do work. But like at the same time, that's not a lie because that is what I'm usually doing is work. Um, but it didn't have to be done in those moments specifically. So she would just like keep randomly calling. And then I was like, a few days ago, she texted something and then she called and I ignored the call. I ignored it. Um, And so, like, I responded later. I texted her and I told her, oh, sorry, I don't always keep my phone near me. But that's not a lie. Although, like, I did have it near me when she had called and I chose not to answer. Um, and so I was talking to Alicia about it. I was like, I think I'm going to have to be honest with her when she comes over this weekend. And I'm going to have to tell her I don't like talking on the phone. Like, it's one thing to not really be able to do it very much with people that I don't know. There's another thing to do with people I know. Like my mother used to be somebody that when I did have a relationship with her, it's like she had to talk to me every fucking day on the phone. And it was just boring as shit. It was her complaining about somebody or her being miserable with some aspect of her life. And I had to sit there and fucking listen. So I totally don't miss those. But like, I do not like my time being taken away from me by a fucking phone. And the only times that I ever cared for that to happen was when I was getting paid for it and I was at work. Um, but I was doing some thinking. I was like, I can't just keep like dodging this kid because she's smart. Like she's gonna pick up on it, like what I'm doing, and I don't want that to happen because I don't want to hurt her feelings. But I'm just gonna tell her that I don't like talking on the phone. And I'm gonna try to explain this as like tactfully and as best as I can. And Alicia will be there too, so she usually helps out when I'm struggling with my words. Um, and I'm gonna ask her if we could just stick to texting. And I'm reminding her too that like when you do text or call somebody, you you know don't expect like don't that everybody is going to call you back or text you like right away, because there's people that like do things. I don't know if she's learned this lesson yet, I don't know, but like I'm just going to tell her that like don't freak out when you don't get a response from one of us like within the first 5 minutes or hour or whatever. Like we will get to it, we will see it, um and we will get back in touch with you. I don't know what it's like to have kids, and teaching them patience and shit. I'm not good with patience myself sometimes. So what do I have to say to a kid about it? Not much. Good thing Alicia's going to be around because she sure as hell knows how to talk to kids. So that's helpful. But anyways, moving right along. While on the subject of like my auditory stuff, so somebody did a human design reading. Yeah, human design reading for me. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. I'm not going to try to explain it because that won't go well. Um, but I had one, and I forgot if I don't know if I'm allowed to say their name because I didn't ask them. Like, I don't know if I'm allowed to. So I'll just say that somebody did a human design reading, and the only way it was going to work was with some sort of like audio. Um, because there's lots that goes into it. There's like a whole process on their end. And so I honestly was like, I was interested. I was like, yeah, like, um, I'd like to learn like more about a human design reading. And I hope I'm saying that right. But anyways, so I told her that like I couldn't do Zoom, like I can't do like video, and I suggested like voice notes or something like that. And then like we agreed that because I don't have Zoom because what's the point, you know? So she suggested I get the free trial, like just sign up and because she has like the paid version and she was going to send me a link and like get me in the room or whatever. And she wasn't going to have herself on the screen. It was like a picture of her. And the idea was that like I record what she says and I walk away because like I can't understand. So she wanted me to have a recording of the reading so that I could play it back when I need to if I had questions or whatever. Plus because she knew that I couldn't really do the back like I can't do it live, you know, talking to somebody live. Like I can't oh god, my mind just something happens in my mind where suddenly I don't understand anything and I'm freaking out because of all the anxiety. So the weirdest thing happened. So we both got on there and I hit record and I was going like I was walking out of my room to go do something for an hour while she did the reading and then I could come back and listen to it. And as I was walking out and she had started, I could understand her and I don't know if this sounds weird, but like I was surprised by that because technically it's live. I wasn't talking to her. There was no expectation for me to like try to talk, but I was like, why am I understanding what she's saying when this is live? Is it because I'm not at the computer looking at her? And that's why, is it because of this or that? And then I realized it was my mind went into like podcast mode. Like it was almost like listening to a podcast. And I was in disbelief that I could hear her clearly, word for word even though I wasn't talking to her. Um, I mean, I didn't think that I'd be able to understand anything because of my anxiety. So I just sat back down and I listened to her live. And then I went back and listened to the recording again because I had questions. But I told her, I was like, oh my God, that's never happened to me before. Well, probably because that was the first time. Oh my God. Like, I don't do like video shit. No, I can't do that. Um, so how I thought it would go, it didn't go that way. It went better. So that was pretty cool. I hope you were able to understand what I meant through all those words. P.S. I should have said it's like almost 8 o'clock in the morning. I've been up since 6 p.m. last night because I took an 8 hour fucking nap yesterday. After waking up from sleeping, I went and took an 8 hour nap, and that was not what I was expecting, but I am still, there's been so much going on. But, anyways, so, I might sound a little tired. Oh, is that all I wanted to say about that? Yes. So I just wanted to share that was pretty fucking cool. If anybody struggles with like Zoom or like talking to somebody like live or on the phone or whatever, like I don't know, try something like that and see if it works for you. I'd be curious to know. Um by the way, this is like episode does not have a point. Now, I don't know that any of mine do maybe, but I always hope that there's some things that you guys can pick out of it that maybe you can relate to and that it wasn't, you know, complete nonsense. So the last thing I wanted to say is I know this isn't like life changing. This is not like I can't be the only one that realized this. I know because I've heard people like talk along these lines, but I was like, I don't know, it was like 4 in the morning. And like I thrive really well. Like I love the overnight. It's quiet. I can get shit done. I can think better. I also was like on an edible, which that helped too. Um, and I had this like realization that before Evil Dick, um, I'm talking about like in between his reigns, his like regimes, whatever the fuck they are, like those 4 years in between when we had to deal with that fucker and then having to deal with him now. Um, those 4 years, a good portion of like like many of my days went well, regarding like mental health wise and emotions and, you know, like I'm not talking about like meltdowns and stuff, just like my general how I feel about the state of things. You know what I mean? And because we had Biden as president, and it was like, okay, we don't have to worry about any bad shit really happening, hopefully. And then we're back into evil dick land, and this is 2 months in. And I realized that every single day I have these feelings I don't like experiencing. Um, I've talked before about how I like limit my news intake because that will do me in. I cannot watch the news like I used to. But I still have to watch like the ones that I trust because I do need to know what's going on. I just want to hear it from people who like I trust and like I don't know. So every day since that motherfucker won the election, like I would say from November 5th, I think it was when the election was to the end of 2024, it was like I was cycling in and out of like despair, fear, anxiety, frustration, disgust. Um and then this year we're like what almost 4 months into the new year or whatever, and there is not a day that has gone by where I have not had, like a negative kind of feeling. Um, like I watch Mary Trump media every day. I fucking love Mary. I love her so much. Especially because she swears, she calls evil dick names, and she still is able to report the news. Like it's a really good package. Like she's professional and she's snarky and she swears, and I love it. Um, I highly suspect that she's autistic. And then there's Rachel Maddow, who she has to be professional. She can't really say exactly what's on her mind, but she does, like her and her team or what's left of it. They like dig into things and share things that like almost nobody knows what's going on or has heard about. I think it's brilliant. And then she like her whole way of like explaining what's going on is just wonderful because my brain understands it. But so I like that. I'm trying to find I read some stuff on Substack from like journalists and stuff. So I have like a handful of sources that like I visit daily because on the one hand I have to. I can't not know what's going on. I can only hear it coming from the people that like I want to hear it from, if that makes any sense, because that'll make what I feel 50% less I don't know how to explain that. Like I won't feel as rageful or as anxious or you know what I mean? Because I'm listening to the news from people that know how to give it. Um, but every day I have felt either disgust or fear or anger. Like, is anybody doing anything behind the scenes? Do people really think that this is going to go on for 4 years? Is this where we're at right now in this country? Every single day. And it's not just at those times that like I'm watching their news or whatever. Sometimes it's like a few times throughout the day where I see a headline or something pops into my brain and I'm just right back into those feelings that I don't like feeling. Like, I'm not trying to run away from feelings. I'm just tired of like feeling that way on what I consider to be almost a regular basis because it's happening daily. Um, I don't stay in them for long. Like, I'm instantly aware, like, okay, this is not good. And I'm starting to get really fucking pissed off right now that this is happening. Because, like, I could spend hours on here talking about all the fucking injustices that are occurring in this damn country because I'm fucking pissed about it, but I can't do anything. Like, I don't mean it like that. Like, I can't do anything on like a grand scale. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a politician. I don't have, I don't hold any positions in government or whatever. But I hate hearing this shit. I hate that people exist like that. Like I'm just am I really gonna have to like deal with this like every single day until we like maybe get somebody in there that knows what they're doing, or until I die if this turns into like some other countries around the world that just have dictators just sitting in their fucking chairs for decades doing nothing but making people's lives miserable and trying to like get rich in the process because it's always about money, 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 money. And like this weird satisfaction they seem to get from being cruel to people. God. I'm not trying to work myself up now, but does anybody realize, like, does anybody feel this way on a daily basis? Like, at least some part of the day, you have a thought or a feeling of disgust or, any of the ones I mentioned? Because, I mean, rationally, I know, I don't think it's just me, but it always is nice to hear from other people who've experienced it, some of the things I do. But like, it just dawned on me all of a sudden, like, oh my God, every day. And how many more days, like, is this really gonna be a years long thing? And how do I deal with that? Like, am I gonna become bitter, Like, I don't wanna be, but it's just not a good place to be in my brain. And I have gotten into a really good space with my mental health, especially over the last few years. Um, Not working with people, not being bullied, no toxic environments, no PTSD, no having to go to the ER and get like fluids in me because I was vomiting so much I couldn't keep any water down, like like the work stress and the physical stress, or it takes a toll on you physically, I mean. Um so like my mental health was not good at all that last year that I worked at that place, and it has significantly improved since then for those obvious reasons, because it's always been people that are mean, or ignorant or whatever. So I went from that to my days are much brighter now, and then Evil Dick comes into the picture, like, not once but twice, and this time I'm not at work. Like his first reign, this is what I'm going to call it, I was working at my last place of employment, and I tuned out the crap around me. Like, I didn't want to hear people talking about that fucker, unless it was saying mean things about him, and because then I was all ears. But anyways, um, so now I'm dealing with this, and I don't want my mental health to like plunge. I don't think it will, but I don't know how to accept that these are feelings that I'm going to experience on a daily basis. I can't just take a break from news because I've never been able to, like, I mean, I have to know what's going on. I have to. But not in like a crazy, let me like watch the news for 24 hours kind of thing. I need to know what's going on. Um, and so I don't know how I feel about this. So if anybody feels this way, can you please email me? I'd appreciate that. And the last thing I want to say before, how much time did I use up on this one? Oh shit, I'm going into the half hour. Okay, so I'm just gonna hurry this up. This project, if you've listened to past episodes, I mentioned that like there's a project I'm working on. Um, I'm just gonna tell you what it is now so that you have some time to decide whether or not you want to part with some dollars. So you're probably tired of me talking about Substack if you're not on Substack. Um, there's this feature on there. It's like a notes feature where like you can post something like whenever. Um, and I try to do notes that make people feel seen, because like it just sucks going years and years and years not feeling seen on a regular basis, not feeling understood on a regular basis. I loathed that. And so I want to do what I can to help people feel seen and understood and cared for and valued, even if it's only in 5 seconds from reading a fucking note. You know what I mean? Like, that is my goal. And so like over the past, year and a half, I've had people reach out like, "Hey, have you thought about putting your notes in a book, in book form?" And I always would say, I don't have time," because, I was working and doing different things. And then I don't know, a couple months ago, I was like, "Wait a minute, like I can make time for this." Um, so I have compiled the notes that I want to into like a book form, and my wife Alicia is doing the artwork. And it's taking a little bit longer than I thought it would, because She does have lots going on, and she does have ADHD. So I try to keep her ADHD brain on track sometimes, but you know, she's got other things too. So I don't expect her to be able to have like hours a day to devote to this. But like I can't wait around. Like now it's turned into somewhat of like a weird hyperfixation because I have posts that I do on Substack a few days a week that are just longer versions of those notes. And so I'm currently compiling those into a book. And it's not like a copy paste thing because um, I want to make sure that these are the way I want them to be before I release them to the world. But like, I'm making them for like, essentially other people like me, like you guys, so that you can have something physical to hold in your hands that will make you feel good about yourself, and I'll have like digital versions available, but like I really believe like holding a book just, you guys know, right? Just books are great. I still like physical books. I do both Kindle and regular book. Well, I'm not talking about that. Sorry, my brain's starting to short out. But anyways, what I recommend is if this is something that you think you might be into, like there's just uplifting stuff that I want to give to you. And also, get some snack money too. But the number one goal is so that like people feel less lonely. Um, anyways, that there's more than that for the goal, but my mind. So if it sounds something like you might be interested in, I highly recommend take a look at my Substack. I hope that doesn't sound cringy, but read some of what I write. If it appeals to you, um, maybe consider purchasing the book/books when they're out. Um, I am just steamrolling on this one that I want to do now because a part of it too is I don't have control over Alicia's time, which I shouldn't. I'm not trying to control her time. I just don't like the fact that I can't control um, how long this is going to take her to do. So my mind's like like I gotta go to like, oh, let me work on this. I don't know. I don't even think I'm making sense. I'm probably talking you out of even considering like purchasing it down the road. But I am still, my timeline is a little bit longer this time, but I still want something out within the next month or two. Um, that is going to happen because I have been working on shit for hours and hours and hours to get this just the way that I want it to be. Um, if I talked too much about that just now, sorry, but I hope I was trying to explain it as best as I could. The best explanation would just be go to Substack, read my shit. If you don't like it, don't read it. If you do, I will have it in book form in the near future. Um, if you know anybody that just found out they're autistic, or it's just for us. Because we need books that make us feel good about ourselves, and I know that they exist, but I want to be able to contribute to that space as well. So that's like the grand reveal. I really shouldn't have said that. Like, I am so tired right now, but there's still so much to do, and I'm drinking like a Celsius right now, and I gotta stop talking, okay? Because maybe nobody's listening. Okay, well, once again, I regret some of this, but the majority of it I don't. So that's what's been going on. It's a very random episode. It's just things that have been on my mind like the last few days that I just need to get out of my head so I can move on with my life. Um, so thank you for listening. Okay, bye.